Hi guys, Macman here. So this is going to be the follow-up video of me sorting out my wheel weight lead. You saw it last week. So here's my setup. I got to the side of my house. So I got the burner and the gas bottle about as far away as I can get it. I got one of these Dutch ovens. I picked it up from Harbour Freight for $30. Works pretty good. I got one fan set up today. It's a beautiful day here in Arizona. There's hardly any wind, not a cloud in the sky today. So I'm just gonna have one fan running, drawing the smoke away from me. So I got an old pot there that I drop all the scrap steel into that comes off the weights. There's my ladle and my spoon. The ladle obviously pouring the lead, spoon for getting all the steel out of the lead. Some of these old small loaf tins, picked these up at Goodwill, a couple of bucks a piece. They do a great job for making a 3 or 4 pound ingot. Obviously my lead sorted out. I spent the time sorting that out last week, as you saw in the video, so I know there's no zinc in there, so I'm not too worried about the temperature on the pot. I can just let it run. I don't need to keep it under the 750 degrees where zinc melts. I think that's where zinc melts. I know it's all pure lead in there, wheel weight, so I've got nothing to worry about there. And a couple of safety things that I do. Obviously, I'm going to be wearing some flame-proof, heat-resistant gloves. My full face mask. Always got a 5-gallon drum of water. It's far enough away from the pot. You do not want water getting anywhere near that hot lead. That'll start spitting, but it's just there for safety. And also I've got a hose pipe just there ready to go. If anything should happen, I get splats on me, I've only got to move 6-7 feet and I got water. Always got to be safe, guys. Always got to look after yourself, because you're dealing with really hot lead. Okay, I'm going to start getting set up and I'll be back. Okay, so I've just started the burner up. Got some gloves on. Put my safety shielded on. And let's get some lead in the pot. Fan on. Okay, so I've got the pot filled. As you can see, the fan is going. The little bit of breeze I've got is blowing through here today, so I just set the fan up to draw any smoke and fumes away from me. I'm going to let that melt down and we come back a bit later. So I've just added a second fan. It wasn't really blowing the smoke away, so I just put another fan blowing across, and I got this one pulling out, and you can see the lead just getting melting down. In the background is a bucket of sawdust. Whenever I go to Home Depot, I always ask them if I can have a bucket of sawdust. They give it to me for nothing. Just take a bucket with you, and then I use that as I throw it in to help clean up. It's going to be like my flux. Works pretty well when you're doing the ingots. So I just chuck a spoonful of that in, and that helps with the whole cleaning process. So as you can see, I've been topping the pot up. It's been going for about 10 minutes. As it's melting down, I've been topping it up. You can see that the molten lead underneath, and it's just a few pieces on top now. All sort of melting down. I can add a bit more now. You can see as it melts down, it gets lower in the pot. You can keep adding more wheel weights. Keeps breaking down into liquid. Like I said, it's probably been going about 10 minutes. Doesn't take long with that big burner. So as you can see, it's pretty much melted down now. A lot of the steel is floating to the top, so I'll start removing some of that steel now. I'm going to dump it into an old pan. You can just see this is all the old steel off the weights. It's all melted off. Comes out pretty easy. Dump it into a container to cool down. It all floats to the top. Once the lead melts, all this crap comes up to the top. A lot of wheel weight went into this pot. pure lead. Pulled all the wheel steels out, comes out really easy. Probably can add a bit more careful this time putting it in. Don't want to splash it in too much. The pot is pretty. That's pretty much one bucket done. That pot will be about 3/4 full. Said when that molten lead is hot, it doesn't take long to get this stuff melted down. Said all this stuff just floats to the top. I got like 3/4 of a pot of lead, got all the metal out. Dump the sawdust in there, that's going to help with the cleaning process. That's going to be like my flux that I use just to get the rest of the crap out of the lead. Just let that all burn off and charcoal up. Around scraping all the sides of the pot, trying to get all the, if there's any on things you do with a normal casting pot, trying to get it nice and clean. If there's anything left over in the bottom, you just scrape it, scoops it all up, and that sawdust just helps with the whole cleaning process. That all gone through, scoop it out, put it with all the trash and crap. go. 3/4 of potted lead. Probably over 100 pound of lead in there, I would have thought, because I've used a bucket and a half and I had 180 pounds starting with. So I'm just going to reposition the camera now and we'll start pouring some ingots. Okay, so we're ready to start doing some ingots. I'm going to pop the ladle in, get that warmed up. Try and get a little bit of heat into this ladle so the lead doesn't stick to it so much. I've got no smoke coming off now, so I'm just gonna knock that one off for a second. Okay. So, with it being so warm here in Arizona, I had my iPad out and it sort of overheated in the sun, so I don't know how much I've lost, so I sort of stopped pouring. I added the rest of the lead that I had, the wheel weight, in the last bucket into the pot. Brought them up to temperature, cleaned all the steel out. I put the sawdust in and fluxed them up. So I'm going to pour this last pot of 8. I've had to drop the camera down to try and get it out of the sun, but hopefully you can still see it okay. And then hopefully the other ones would have hardened up enough for me to pour them out. So I'll just go and pour that last pot. So I'm just waiting for those last couple of pots to harden up before I tip them out. But you can see that's what was left after scooping all the steel out. Pretty much got all the lead out of the Dutch oven, just letting that cool now, but that'll do for next time. There's 3 pots there cooling. You shake them, they're still a little bit liquidy, so I'm going to give them another 5-10 minutes to go off. Just going to start clearing up, and then I'll show you tipping the last lumps of lead out. So there was my setup, guys. So always use a couple of fans. You want to be blowing that smoke away from you. It's always good to put some old boards down on the floor just to catch all the mess. You can see all the skits and everything have gone onto the boards and not onto my concrete. It's going to be a lot easier to clean up. So I'm just going to pack away and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm pretty much cleared up and I think those trays are ready to be dumped out. This is just a matter of just tipping them out. Get some splatters on there, but you can scrape them off if you want, or just leave them on there. It doesn't do any harm. Still a bit warm. You see, a bit of lead there I can chuck back in my pot for next time with the rest of the wheel weights. So we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 32, 34, 36, 38 ingots. I weighed one of the earlier ones and they're coming out at about 3.5 pounds. So I got about 130 pound in ingots there, and I started out with just over 160 pound of wheel weights. I didn't melt my stick-on weights this time. I didn't have enough for them. So 160 pounds down to 130 of good clean ingot ready to cast. These with me are coming out somewhere between 10 and 12 BHN once they've cooled, and I leave them for about a month. So they're ample for most of my pistols I shoot. I'll just quickly show my little setup out here. So I got my cabinet where on the top I got another spare Dutch oven. I keep my ladles, spoons and everything up there. There's a Dutch oven I've just used now. This is an old metal storage container or cupboard or whatever you want to call it. I picked up in a yard sale for like 30 bucks. It keeps everything in there nice and dry. There's all my trays. My burner goes in there. One of my fans sits in there. My bucket of sawdust. You can see my boards. You can see they burn through where the trays are sitting on. They get pretty hot, so it's nice to have the boards rather than just going straight onto the concrete. And then with this cupboard, I just lock it away. So there's my cupboard. To the side I keep my little batch of, there's my stick-on weights ready for next time, my gas bottle, obviously there's the ingots, and then I got a half a bucket of crap, steel, old lead and everything in there, which when that's full I just take it to the scrapyard and weigh it in. Okay guys, so that's me turning my wheel weights into ingots ready to load. So you can see, cover yourself up so you've got some decent clothing on, keep plenty of water around you, do it nice and slow, it's not hard, and be careful because like I said, you are dealing with really hot liquid, but if you take your time and take the precautions, it's really safe, and the reward is really good. Hope you enjoy this video. We'll catch you on the next.